Hey, you guys, I'm glad you guys are tuning in here. Before we get to the video, I just want to share just a couple of quick things for you. Please, if you did not watch part one, go back to part one. Okay, this is part two. You want to go back to part one. Part one is the video where I'm saying that African man, basically chides Black American men, something to that effect. I'll just put it on the screen. I'll put the thumbnail there and you can check it out. But it's imperative for you to check out that one first so that this one you can have a much fuller understanding, because what I don't want to see happen, and it's inevitable, someone will watch this, but then they'll lose the context of part one, and then they're jumping in the comment section and commenting on partial knowledge. So please make sure you make a point to watch part one. The other thing is, the reason why I'm doing this is because I saw this as a really good opportunity to really have an open discussion as it pertains to the differences between, well, number one is a topic that pertains to black men. I'm a man and I happen to have black dark skin. So of course I was very interested in this topic. Number two, what people I think need to understand and see is that unlike a lot of the platforms that you may be used to, where people are yelling at each other and screaming at each other and ending up hating one another, I'm not that guy. This is not that kind of platform. So this individual I'm talking about, I don't know him to hate him. I don't hate him at all. People disagree on things. And I think what's sorely needed in this society, in this world we live in, is for people to see great examples of two men who happen to have a difference of opinion on some things and calmly talking about these things. And that's it. This is not East versus West, North versus South and all of that. And I think based on some of the comments I was getting, that's what people are expecting, or they assume that somehow this is some hatred towards this individual or whatever. And it's not that at all. What I'm understanding is that there's a lot of people out here who have never seen, and it sounds crazy to say this, but have never seen black men who disagree calmly talking about those disagreements. And then that's it. This, whatever comes out of it, the hope is that we both grow from it. But if you don't, you don't. But it doesn't have to turn personal and nasty or anything like that. So that's what I was looking for with this. As you saw in part one, I tried to reach out to this individual. He blocked me, and that's it. I keep moving on. It's not a personal attack on me. I'm not in my bed crying, oh my God. No, it's not that at all. As a man, there are just things you deal with. Or better yet, as an adult, there's certain things you deal with. It's called life. What was the other thing I wanted to say? So what I wanted to, what I'm noticing in this trend, this where we are right now as a society, as a world, is that I'm seeing a lot of anti-black male stuff coming. I see a lot of it where, there's a lot of negativity, going towards black men. And I know for black women that are watching this, they may say, ha ha ha, there's a lot of negativity going towards us too. And that I would agree. I agree. And I think for both of us, we have our own stories, but I think these things go in cycles. And I think in this part of the cycle right now, there's a lot of anti-black male bashing that's going on right now, and particularly in light of this whole Kamala Harris. If you vote for her and you're a black man, if you don't vote for her and you're a black man, then that means you're not a black person. That all that nonsense. And then everything that comes down, trickles down from that. I'm seeing a lot of that going on. And so anyway, in this video that you're about to watch, I'm basically giving examples of where black American men are making a difference, are coming together. One of the things I pointed out in this video, I talked about how societies or different demographics tend to be their own harshest critics. So if you go to China, if you go to the Eastern Europe, if you go in Hawaii or whatever it may be, Polynesian or, any of the Pacific Coast Islands or whatever, if you actually take the time to talk or listen to these people, they will tell you that they have their own set of criticisms regarding their men and regarding their women, and they usually go pretty hard regardless of who you talk to. Well, black Americans aren't any different. We just go really hard on each other, and we go so hard that we fail to acknowledge the positive things that we are doing. And that's the point of this video, is to highlight the positive things that black men are, in fact, have been doing. So yes, black men have been coming together for a very long time before TikTok. You know what I mean? Black men have been joining together and doing things for a very long time. Just because you don't see it doesn't mean it's not happening. And this is why I keep stressing, go back to the first video, because I talk about the differences between, this whole thing was coming from this African man, between black American men or black American people versus people coming from the continent. For us, what he was looking for was a situation where we just lock down a part of the American economy. And I was saying that is next to impossible, because we were put in a situation where we can't do that. It doesn't mean that we're completely powerless. There are a lot of things that we can do, and this is what this video is going to highlight. However, there are limitations that we have. However, when you look at in the case of people coming from a continent, from the continent of Africa, they have land, they have the resources, all of that tied to it. We didn't have that. So there are the stark differences between us. But even with that, black Americans have shown over and over again that even with the little, we're able to create something out of that. And so, unfortunately, and I will tell you this, that videos like this, they don't usually get a whole lot of views, because I'm actually talking about something positive. And positivity, unfortunately, don't get a lot of traction in these streets out here, but that's what it is. But last but not least, if you go back to the video that I did, the part 1, there's most people, they agreed, they got it, but there was a few people, mainly they were women, maybe a couple of guys, but it was mainly women who were saying that I was bashing black women. I was not bashing black women at all. I was talking about a subset of black women who were commenting under that guy Issa's video, and a lot of what they were saying was echoing his own error. I was talking about them. I wasn't saying all black women at all. So, so don't, if you're going to leave a comment, number one, don't lie. Number two, you got to substantiate whatever claims you're making. Otherwise, I'm going to treat you just like I treat everybody else, regardless if you're man, woman, child. It don't matter. If you can't substantiate what you're saying, then your comment will be removed and you'll be blocked, because, we are about constructive discussion here, not just coming in and you're commenting off of a channel that's nondescript. You're not showing your face. I'm showing my face. You know what I mean? I'm talking to you. I've given up the comfort of hiding behind emojis and all that. I'm here. So we've done this many times before. When people do have these types of criticisms, well, we go live and then we open up the phone line, and usually it's quite quiet. And so again, if we don't, the criticisms are fine, because this is part of being an adult, a mature adult. But but when someone responds to you and says, okay, substantiate that, don't go quiet. You understand what I'm saying? So, but these comments that I was getting, just a few of them, it just highlights the fact that, like I said, again, this is a real serious problem that we're having, as far as this negativity towards, hey, black men ain't doing nothing. They don't come together and they're not trying or anything like that. But there are many examples of that. And that's what I want to highlight. So again, two parts here. Again, we're highlighting the fact that contrary to what he was saying in his video, black American men are doing things. That was, and I highlight that. Then number two, the point of this video is to show that it's also very important to understand the differences between what black Americans had to go through and what we're dealing with versus what Africans have and what they're dealing with. There's similar struggles, but there are also some very different things that we have to both understand. You understand what I'm saying? So that's the whole point of this. So to have this mindset that we're all in one pot and we can just address things with a one pot mindset is ridiculous. It hasn't worked, and it will never work. It's important for us to take the time to understand these different complexities. And unfortunately, like the video that I posted, the one I did yesterday, that was a TikTok video, part of it. But that portion that was uploaded on TikTok, it was a 10-minute video. You know what the average watch time was? 23 seconds. So when someone is only watching 23 seconds of a well thought out, meaningful video, but yet they want to have a vigorous discussion in the comment section, that's not really honest, and you really can't build that way. That's why most building, real unity takes place offline. So these are just some practical things I'm just trying to lay out. So without further ado, I'm just going to jump right to the video. I won't say anything afterwards. It will just end off with that video. Okay. Thanks for tuning in. Let's get to the video. Okay. So anyway, so this is part 2 of the video. If you didn't see part 1, please go back to part 1. I would do a recap. Basically, this is a guy named Issa who did this video regarding what his thoughts were with black men, and the fact that he felt that black men were not coming together and following the examples of, let's say, other ethnic groups who have gotten together to control certain parts of society. And I explained that in great detail, the difference between these other ethnic groups and what we have to deal with as black Americans. Issa is from Africa, so I wanted to use this as an opportunity to show him the differences. So if you go back to that video, you'll see I went through all that. So I don't have a lot of time on this, so I got to keep it moving. So anyway, but I will recap one part of it. So I did this whole video where I just explained. I also left the door open for him. Hey, listen, I would love the opportunity for us to come together so that in an open forum, so that we can talk about this topic, which I think is a very important topic. And then we can go from there. And this was his response. And so basically, as you can see, he blocked my video. And I know he did because because immediately when I discovered this, I went to his page to leave a comment saying, hey, listen, it looks like my video was blocked. I hope you didn't have anything to do with this. And then the following day, I come back and my comment's gone. So he deleted the comment as well. So it says a lot about an individual who will use a platform like this, who has a large following and wants to basically criticize black men for not doing X, Y, and Z, but and you want to pose it as a question, but when a black man wants to answer it, this is how you respond. So it says a lot about the individual there, and I'll just leave it at that. So basically, I wanted to know, okay, this guy was going really hot on the whole issue about blood diamonds and the impact it's having. Well, this Jewish guy in New York City who's benefiting from it and all of that. And so nonstop, he was hitting that. He'll talk about other topics from time to time, but he was nonstop on this whole thing regarding this tracks dude. And so this one day he did this video. This is the video we're talking about here, one about black men. And he did this video here. And then usually if you let people talk, they'll kind of let you know a little bit, okay, what else is going on here? So if you go up here, I think it's one of these videos up here, he talks about how, and I'm going to play a clip in a moment here. He talks about how because part of this campaign against this jeweler is that he is passing out flyers. And unfortunately, he did not get the response that he would get as far as boots on the ground. But let me play the clip so you can hear for yourself, and then I'll come back.
There's a saying, if you want to help your own people, there's a black American saying, if you get up to help black people, your biggest enemy and your biggest obstacle will be black people. Winston again. And that totally applies to Africans. This whole situation, I haven't made a video about this, but I promise you, there has not been a day since this whole situation started where I walk out of my house and I have not been approached by somebody. Oh, are you Issa? I follow you on TikTok, blah, blah, blah. A lot of times it's African men, and they usually follow it up with, I support you, we behind you, whatever you need, we got you. 9 times out of 10, they don't expect me to say, oh yes, actually I do need help. When I say I do need help, you could just see the energy. Long story short, up until this point, everyone who has helped me has been white. Not a single black or African, every black and or African help has been online. When it came down time to do the physical work, every single black and or African person has.
But when you're putting videos out like this, cowardice will be the end of us as a people. There's very little mystery there as to why you're probably not getting the help that you're asking for. Again, I stress to you, go back to part 1 and I explain why. Again, it's important for people to understand the difference between black American experience versus people coming from Africa. And so the other thing I think is worth pointing out is that he is sitting in his apartment in New York City in the United States, mad because black people, or he's saying black men, black men aren't rising to the occasion to help a situation that's happening on the continent. That's like me going to Africa and getting mad because they're not addressing the issues here in the United States. Do you understand what I'm saying? And again, go back to part one, because I explained the differences between the two. We can work together, but we also, as black Americans and as Africans, but we also have to understand the differences between the two and not just throw accusations like he's doing and not really understanding the different complexities of what it is to be a black American versus, where he's coming from. So the one thing that I want to stress, this is man to man, is that as men, there are things that I would call solo missions in life that we will have. In other words, as a man, we love fixing things. We want to, when we see a problem, we want to fix it. We want to make sure we resolve it and all of that. And sometimes I can understand that as a man who has done many projects, it's easy to blame the whole group when in reality, this mission was really for you. You know what I'm saying? And so you have to, and this is not just for him, but this for a lot men in period in life. There's going to be some things that are just going to be for you to handle, for you to address, for you to take it for the team, so to speak. And this is a very important point for all people to understand that just because you don't have the group behind you, it doesn't mean that the group is supposed to be doing your assignment. Do you understand what I'm saying? Although I do understand his overall point, he also has to understand that as well. And this is something for me as a man that I had to learn on my own. And so not to get too long-winded here, again, what his point is, and not just his point, but the comments I was getting both here on YouTube, they were mainly coming from women. I mean, the men were supporting and they got it. I even had some people from African men that were getting it. But the women, the few women that were commenting, the voices of objection, most of them were actually coming from women. It wasn't too many, but it was a few of them. And their whole thing is that black men need to come together and don't get mad when someone's calling you out because you guys aren't getting together. Well, let me give you some examples where black men have been coming together before TikTok. Okay, so this is an organization here. It's called Black Men United. They've been around for years and have been doing great things in the community. These are men, black men coming together and seeing the problem and solving it. I know many people have heard of this organization called 100 Black Men of America. They've been around for ages and they do pretty much the same thing. All I've heard is nothing but good and positive things that a group of black men started by 100 black men have got together, but it's all over the country right now. And they've been doing some great work as well. Here's another organization. It's called the Black Man Lab. And it tells you right there what they do and what they're about. And again, another great organization comprised of men that are coming together and they're solving real issues. I'm sure many of you have heard of this organization. It's called the Concerned Black Men of America. Same thing. These are black men that get together and they're solving real issues in amongst other black people in this country. So what I've given you is just a few examples. There are many more examples I can give of black men that have been coming together for a very long time. What people got to understand is that every culture has a negative thing to say about itself. Cultures tend to be very hard on itself. So if you go to the Philippines, I've heard Filipino women say negative things about their men. You listen to people in China, same thing. They have negative things to say about their men and then vice versa. So every culture, and black culture, or what we call black American culture, isn't any different. I've heard African people from various countries in Africa have some very derogatory things to say about African men and vice versa. So, but we're looking at it this close. When you step back and really look at the details, you'll see that there are a lot of things that are being done. And yes, there are numbers of black men that have been getting together and unifying and taking control of the situation. So finally, I'll just leave off on this one. And so Issa, when you block people, like someone that's trying to have dialogue with you. See, what you don't know is that I actually have some good relationships with people in Congo who are looking at this issue. And I think this would have been an opportune time for us to come together, put our resources together, and we can talk about it. But when you do stuff like this, when, in other words, you want to talk down on black men and shut black male voices out, you block opportunities to build. So that's all I wanted to say on this video. Hope you see this. Take care.